All right, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am much better now. I've been so looking forward to chatting with you about the baby. I've been counting down the days for this conversation.
Really?
I have. I mean, it's such an insanely brilliant series. But before we even dive into that, I'm chatting with Michelle De Swarte about HBO Max original horror comedy series, The Baby. Welcome.
Thank you.
One of the things I love doing before chatting or doing interviews is I enjoy reading comments under film trailers to sort of gauge reactions. And fans are so geeked to watch The Baby. There were so many funny comments, so many relatable comments. I think the one that stood out for me was, "Thanks for reminding me to take my birth control." I felt that in my soul. So before we dive in officially, can we get a brief recap of the evolution of Michelle De Swarte? You know, for those that haven't yet gotten the memo, you started with the modeling, comedy, and Vice documentary. So could you talk a bit about that trajectory leading you to where you are today?
Okay. Well, yes, you can. Or I can, should I say?
No.
Uh, yeah, I guess. Oh my God, where do I start? Well, I guess I moved to New York in 2001,
Mhm.
and I moved out there to model. And before that, I was a bartender, and I got scouted, moved out to New York, modeled um, for about 10 years, then started doing stand-up comedy. Then around 2014, 2015, started doing Vice docs,
Mm.
continued to do stand-up, then moved back to the UK, started writing, made a few short films. Off the back of that, my friend and fellow comic, Catherine Ryan, had just written a show, and she was trying to cast um, someone to play her best friend on the show for this Netflix show called The Duchess.
Yeah.
I got that, and that came out in 2020. And pretty much shortly after that, I started doing this, The Baby, and here we
Nice.
are.
And,
Yeah,
and here we are.
and here we are.
I love that. And so did you always know that, acting was something that you wanted to do, or is that something that just kind of happened along the way?
This is, yeah. I've only been acting for like the last few years, the last three
Wow.
years. Yeah, yeah. So no, it wasn't. It's very much off the back of stand up.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense. I've always thought that comedians make the best actors. Just 'cause,
really.
oh, absolutely. Just because of the raw emotion and the level of vulnerability comedians have to have. I think that's a natural transference into acting.
Yeah.
And your role in the baby is a surefire sign of that in my eyes. And so speaking of, I loved the intro to the baby. I thought it was absolutely insane. It had my heart beating outside of my body. What did you think of the script when you first got it? What were your thoughts?
I was blown away. Like when I kind of got the script by chance because I was doing gigs in lockdown. I was doing corporate gigs over Zoom,
Mhm.
like many stand-up comics, and just by chance, one of these corporate gigs was with the casting director's husband's company,
Oh,
and so she'd sat in on this gig, watched it, and then they contacted me. They contacted my agent, United, Aisha, the casting director, who's amazing, and um, and they sent it to me on a Friday, and I just didn't think that much of it because I'm new to acting and I don't really seek it out. And I was gigging at that time. We were allowed back out again, and so I just kind of thought, oh yeah, they were like, yeah, we've been contacted, do a tape, and I was like, yeah, whatever. The Sunday I opened up the script and I was like, holy, like, this is amazing. I really want it. And I don't know if I've given myself enough time to send this tape in. So I contacted my cousin and I was like, you need to come over to my house right now.
ASAP.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was like, now you're up. Come on, I need help. And but yeah, just as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, I really want this. And I haven't had loads of experience of going through that process, you know, so it
Right.
really took me by surprise. I was like, this is amazing.
Now, when you say process, are you talking about like that acting process, or actually what Natasha experiences in the idea of motherhood process?
No, 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 I mean the
Acting.
process of auditioning for
Gotcha.
something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that sort of leads me to my next question. Did any relatable life experiences feed your decision to take the role outside of just an awesome script?
Yeah, but I think that, you know, just as a woman, and especially being at that stage in life, there was a perspective from each person, you know what I mean? And how they would feel about motherhood that I just felt really relatable, you know? So yeah, I related to that first dynamic that you see around that poker table of all
Mhm.
of those friends and the way they were interacting and the wants that each person had. I've experienced in one, you know, one way, shape, or another.
Yeah, same here. And so while the baby is a raw examination of motherhood, it's told from the perspective of a woman who doesn't want to be one. And I love that twist. I mean, for me, that's what hooked me, and wanting to see like how are they going to play this out and how authentic is
Right.
it going to come across. And so your character Natasha embodies what I think a lot of women feel. Can you talk a bit about her dramatic journey in this series?
Yeah, yeah. Natasha is is just uninterested in kids or babies. She really likes her life. She likes the way it is. She likes being able to do what she wants, and she resents anything changing that. And even though she ends up with this baby, it does nothing to endear her and change her mind. And I think that's a kind of, you know, a different perspective to what we're used to seeing. You know, she's the baby does all the things that a baby does. She's be cute and, you know, adorable.
Right.
And Natasha is like, yeah, that's cool for you. I'm still not interested.
I want no parts of it.
She
It's
wants no parts of it.
I love that you use the word uninterested, because the baby picks the most uninterested person it could possibly find.
Right.
And I love that she didn't waver in what she wanted and didn't want. But we kind of see her resolve break a little bit in terms of like, I got to take care of this baby. I'm not quite sure what to do with it, but I'm just not. I won't discard it, or I don't want to. Um, and I love that. I kind of felt like Natasha had certain mothering qualities, but maybe not. Did you pick up on any of that, or was that who Natasha was at her core?
Yeah. I think yeah, I mean, I think as we start to find out about Natasha's story is that she's well versed in caring,
Yeah.
right? And that's probably why she has
Mhm.
a, you know, quite visceral aversion to it in the current day in Natasha's life. But Natasha does have a moral compass. You know, she has a pretty strong moral compass, and she cares about people. And I think she probably feels that so strongly that she really is apprehensive about caring about something else because she knows that it's something that she takes seriously. And you can see, you know, she can be quite abrasive and abrupt with her friends, but there's got to be a reason why they make a lot of space for her.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think because they know who Natasha is at her core. So yeah, I reckon it might be Natasha's moral compass that wins out more so than motherhood.
Yeah. And again, that's incredibly relatable on so many levels. How was it
Yeah.
working with the baby? Like, what? Talk to me about that baby process, because there were moments where I'm like, this baby is so spot on with how he responds and reacts. Like, how did they make this be?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, babies are babies and they behave on set like babies. They
Right.
don't know that you're filming.
Right.
And so you just have to make a lot of space and time for them. You know, you have to respect that you're working with a little human who is not acting. And I think the best thing you can do if you want to get the most out of a baby is to spend a lot of time with it and get them to trust you. And
Mm.
Natasha's quite harsh with her words, and so it was really important that me, Michelle, as a person, spent a lot of time with them being sort of soft and kind and gentle. So when we were playing scenes that seemed more heightened and um, with zero fluff, that the babies felt comfortable with me. So it takes a little bit of time and it takes a bit of work. And I was really lucky that the baby's mum and dad, because they're twins. So
Mm.
mum and dad, we built up quite a close relationship, and they could help me out and tell me when I didn't need to worry, or like the babies are fine, or what I mean. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
I mean, there was one particular scene. There was a conversation between Tosh and Rita in the kitchen. And as they're talking, the baby's looking at Tosh, the baby's looking at Rita, but it was so perfect,
Yeah.
perfectly aligned with the mood and the tone of that moment. I think that was the key scene that sort of blew me away in terms of like, wow, does the baby know what's going on? Is this a real baby? Like, what's
Yeah.
happening here?
Yeah, no, it's a real baby. That
Right.
is so with those kind of scenes, it really is like, by this point I'd spent so much time with them, and I made a point that when the cameras weren't rolling, if there was no real need to give the baby back, I would just hold on to the babies, because it just made it more comfortable for them, and just so they could get really used to me. So if there was someone else talking, they would just look to me, look to them,
Mhm.
look to me, look to them, because a conversation's taking place. And
Gotcha.
especially because they got so used to me, um, when the cameras weren't rolling, if I was saying something that felt a little bit harsh, they would be like, "What's going on?" You know
Okay.
what I mean? So
Gotcha.
yeah, we were really lucky. We had some really lucky moments with them as well.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that really stuck out to me is the unique approach to raw commentary on motherhood, and really what it means to be a mother in today's time. And the baby deals with some weighted themes. Like we're talking about abandonment. Like I was not expecting for it to go that deep. I got a whole therapy session out of watching
Oh wow.
what I watched, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I love this for much more than just being a horror comedy. It goes deep." And so, how was that for you in terms of balancing the comedy, the drama, the horror, but also those underlying themes?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky that I had a great script to work with, and I had a lot of support leading up to filming
Mhm.
about who Natasha was and why she would do um the things that she did, and like what her origin story was.
Yeah,
And it felt like these were important things to show, right? These are important nuances in what it is to be a woman, whether you are a mum or not, whether you're a caregiver or not, and just how much your childhood can, really imprint who you are as an adult.
yeah,
And especially with like your emotional development and how you might handle high stress situations, that
yeah,
someone at first glance might seem really defensive, but actually what they're probably doing is being very protective of themselves, and they're probably doing that because they don't want to be vulnerable, and it's probably for a reason.
right.
And so Natasha's character is very layered,
Mhm.
and we discussed it all so much that by the time we were shooting, I just had a pretty good understanding of what her motivations and what her intentions were.
Yeah, that came across really well, and so did the baby's sort of history and what the baby was dealing with, and how that
Mm.
sort of there was a duality between the baby and Natasha, and the
Yeah.
fact that the baby picked Natasha because clearly Natasha needed something, and so did the baby. So it was just a really great pairing of characters to bring out whatever needed to come out from both. People. And so when you talk about, psychological wellness and how it's sparked by initial childhood events, I love that it showed again, like how it stems, like what it stems from as a baby, right? And then we go back
Mhm.
and see Natasha's whole, past, and it starts to make sense, and it becomes this really incredible lesson, if you will. So I say all this to say thank you for bringing that to life in a way that was digestible.
Oh, the pleasure is mine, and also I will extend that thanks to Sean and Lucy, the creators, and Sean with the writing, because I like what you said about the baby and Natasha being in parallels, because I always felt like that playing that character, that I was like, oh, Natasha's kind of emotionally stunted in her sort of teens, although she's physically grown as an adult, and the baby is literally stunted and caught in a physical loop,
Right.
And so they run parallels, and they've both got big lessons to teach each other.
Yes, and also teach us. That's what I love about
Right.
film, and just great writing. So the series includes a very strong and rarely portrayed LGBTQ plus motherhood storyline. What did that, mean to you to be a part of, really one of the first series and or films to dive deep into that?
You know what? It's something that I didn't think about that much, because I've come from a very strong, like, matriarchal family. And my grandmother's gay. She's been gay my whole life and has her wife. And my grandmother's sister is also a lesbian, and I'm bisexual. And I'd been brought up in that environment. So it wasn't until people now, where people are talking about it, that I'm like, oh right, yeah, like this is. But for my own experience, it seemed just really normal. So like whatever normal is,
Right.
there was nothing new about it, I guess, is what I should say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense. And I loved the scenes where, like, there was a group of women being mothers. There was something really poetic and beautiful and special about seeing that when you think about nurturing and nurture versus nature. And so I love that perspective, right? We don't see it often. So to see it depicted the way that it was here, I think for me, it meant a lot. And I'm sure it's going to resonate the same way with like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this series to come out to talk about it with people, right? This is a thought-provoking project that I think we all sort of need to dig into in some way, shape, or form. My favorite Natasha line, and they were a couple, but the one that stands out is when she says, "You're hardly an authority figure, love." I cannot wait to say that to another human being at some point in life. The way you delivered that line was incredible. I can't stop thinking about it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I'll pass that on to Sean. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty
Yeah,
it feels like a very Natasha moment, you know what I mean? Where, like, poor Bobby is trying to deal with this
I
social
know.
worker and really put her best foot forward. And I think that really shows something there, about your previous question, where, like, Bobby is trying so hard to be a mother,
Yeah,
and she has to jump through all these hoops, and she's a much better candidate for the job than Natasha, who just turns up with this baby that everyone presumes is hers. And just that moment when Natasha has a baby and can be, just absolutely unsympathetic towards what Bobby is going through, and doesn't understand the plight that Bobby is in the midst of,
yeah, right. And that
Yeah.
showed yet another layer, another dynamic between sisters, right? And that bond or lack thereof, that was
Yeah.
just like a whole other thing to mentally and emotionally deal with. So yeah, kudos to the writers, kudos to everyone that had something to do with this incredible project, which debuts on HBO Max April 24th with 8 episodes. Before I let you go, what should we look out for? Like, what do you have coming up next, if anything, that we can like be looking out for and support?
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll be doing some stand-up on Amazon. That'll
Nice.
be out, I think, this summer on
Okay.
Backstage with Catherine Ryan, and on her show for Amazon. And yeah, I'm writing a show, so hopefully I'm doing that with Val, a really great production company
Mhm.
that made I May Destroy You and like a bunch of other stuff. So hopefully that will see the light of day soon.
Yes.
And yeah, other than that, I don't know. I just hope everyone just enjoys the show, and I hope it, like as you said, starts a lot of conversations, and I hope that it makes people laugh, and I hope that some people feel seen in the mix of it as well.
Mm. Which is so important. I think you're dope. I cannot wait just to see where, this acting career of yours takes you. I think it's going to take you to high places, and I
It's
feel
taken me further than I ever thought. I'm like, I'm here doing press about a big HBO show. I'm like, this
yeah,
is fine.
right. And you're good. Like you are good. So
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you for being you. Thank you for talking with blackfilm.com. And
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time, and I
yes,
appreciate that you'd want me on your platform. So it's my honor and a
please
pleasure.
come back anytime.
I will.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
If you want more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell on blackfilm.com's YouTube page.